Let's go. Taking down Darkhawk too, baby. Is there anything this deck can't beat? Is there anything this deck can't beat? Hello, hello, hello. TM24 here, and we are back with some more Marvel Snap content. Now, do I have a treat for y'all? I believe we found the next meta breaker here. Patriot, which we're running into a ton. Sera Control, Darkhawk, random decks that you're going to find on the ladder. This deck can handle them all, so let's talk about it. First off, I'm calling it One Moon because we've got a bunch of one-drops that we'd love to slam on turn 6 as long as Moon Girl can copy them. Now, that's not your only win condition, but that's definitely one of the most fun. But let's talk about this deck kind of as a whole here. So, we've got 3 one-drops here. We've got Zero, Titania, Ebony Maw. You can kind of see a theme here. We're looking to get rid of some of these negative effects that our cards are going to have. Ebony Maw, Lizard, Typhoid Mary, Red Skull, all ongoing effects that you're going to love to get rid of here. Titania, she's a 1/5 power. Ideally, you're dropping her on turn 6 next to a couple other cards to kind of flip those locations that you don't already have. Ebony Maw, we talked about. He's a 1/7. That is insane, especially if you can double him up or, you know, cancel him out with Sauron. No one's expecting 1/7 to come down on turn 6, so he definitely has a surprise factor there as well. Next up, we've got 3 2-drops. Angela, Zabu, Lizard, right? Angela, you love to slam on 2 as long as well, not as long. You love to slam her on 2 regardless. If you can get Zabu down, great. Lizard, you're probably not playing until later in the game because you want to get rid of his negative ongoing. Next up, we've got a couple of 3-drops. Bishop and Sauron. Now, I know y'all see Sauron and you see some ongoing effects that we don't want to cancel out, specifically Zabu and Khazar. Now, sometimes he'll hit those and it doesn't feel great, but honestly, it doesn't kill your game plan. You can still win even if those cards get hit. So you're not too worried about Sauron. Bishop though, Bishop's great. You love to get Angela down on 2, Bishop on 3, and you're feeling like you've won that lane. Next up, we talk about Khazar, Moon Girl, Typhoid Mary, all of our 4-drops. Khazar is there to buff up your 1-drops, which you've got 3 of them. But if you double any of them up with Moon Girl, all of a sudden you've got a lot more than 3 and it can feel pretty good. Typhoid Mary, if you can cancel her out, great. That is what Sauron's in the deck for. Maybe even Zero if you've got to do it. Maybe you're not going to hit Sauron early. I think I might have skipped Moon Girl, but you know what she does. She is doubling your hand. You know, she's copying what's in there. Ideally, you're hitting lower cost cards. Maybe you're hitting Typhoid Mary and you can play 2 of them as long as you've got Zabu down. And then we've got Red Skull. Again, he's just more power that you can pump out there. And he feels really, really strong. Additionally, not canceling him out may turn out to be your benefit, as you'll see here in the game against the Cerebro 3 deck. So, what are we looking at? What is the game plan here? Ideally, turn 1, you're probably not playing anything, but you could play Zero if you've got Lizard in your hand ready to go. If you don't have Lizard, turn 1, you're passing, right? No big deal. You've got plenty of other plays to make coming up. Turn 2, the most ideal playline I found is getting Angela down. You want to build off of her. She feels great. But if you've got Zabu in your hand, you're going to want to think about getting him down instead, simply because if you play Sauron later on, it's not going to affect your Angela, but it will affect your Zabu, and having that discount may come in handy later down the line. Finally, turn 3, you're looking at getting Bishop down. I love to play Bishop on top of Angela, as you can see in this game playing right now. It just feels like you're going to win that location. So Bishop down on Angela feels great on 3. If you don't have any of your ongoing cards that you don't want to cancel out, so if you don't have Zabu, you don't have Khazar, playing Sauron is probably fine, but I like to hold him off until a little bit later if possible. So turn 4, what are we looking at? Ideally, Moon Girl, and you're copying Ebony Maw, you're copying Titania, Zero, Lizard, something like that, just to kind of get those buffs on those cards, right? Turn 5, you're kind of mixing and matching, right? If you can get Sauron down with something else, great. If it's just Sauron and you're canceling out all those negative ongoing effects, i.e. Ebony Maw, Lizard, Typhoid Mary, Red Skull, then hey, that's what you want to do. So turn 6, you're playing everything you can to win the game. Typically, you're going to be behind, so you can kind of pick and choose which location you're going to tank and which one you're actually going to go for. So it really depends on how the game kind of plays out, but you have a really strong line here and tons of synergy. You're not going to hit Sauron every time, but you don't necessarily need to. Yes, it feels a whole lot better if you do, but you've got Zero to cancel out some negative effects, and maybe those negative effects aren't really all that negative. Like I said, you'll see in the Red Skull game, but what I'm going to do is kind of talk you through a couple of these games that I've got going on here. And I'm sorry, this is going to be a little bit longer, but I had too much fun playing this deck, and it just seemed really, really strong. So let's talk about this game that we've got going on here. We're getting Zabu down on 2. We know the sandbar is the hot location right now, so you got to be aware of that. It's okay, though. You've got Sauron to cancel out those cards and allow you to reach the sandbar. Now, when you don't draw them, it kind of hurts because you still want to get to that location, and you're going to see it in this game. Turn 2, we got Zabu down. Turn 3, we have no sign of Sauron, so we're going to go ahead and use our 0 early and 0 out the Ebony Maw. 1/7 is huge, even against a Patriot, as you can see here. Next up, we're looking at turn 4. We've got a couple options here. We could go Angela Lizard, we could go Typhoid, but she's going to hurt our other cards. So maybe we're going to make a little bit conservative play here. I'm pretty sure we go just Angela, and we play Lizard as well. So we go Angela and Lizard, buffing up that Fist Tower, knowing that, hey, we're going to have to try and win these lanes. Getting Angela buffed is going to be a part of that. Turn 5 pops around, and we hit Moon Girl. Moon Girl feels pretty good here. And honestly, it's the only real play that we have. We don't want to play Typhoid Mary. We don't want to play Titania, so that's what we're playing. As far as we know, we're still playing a Patriot deck here. They get Wave, get that out, and we think that we're probably in trouble here. But it doesn't mean we've lost this game yet. We don't want to play Typhoid Mary because it's going to hurt our Zabu. You can see us circling it right there. So we're only going to end up playing one card here, and we drop Red Skull into the Fist Tower. We're ahead there. They only play one card as well, and it just so happens to be Agatha. So they were playing an Agatha Patriot deck, but honestly, it didn't really matter. We were going to win that game fairly easily. Next up, we've got the Cerebro 3 game that I was talking about, and this was an especially fun one to play. Our hand looks pretty good. I could have zeroed out Titania, Ebony Maw, but I've been playing a little bit greedier here. So instead, I held off, and I'm just going to drop Angela. I'm going to play her into the lane that we don't know what's coming yet, just because we want to get something there in case it's, a location we don't want to hit. Boss comes down, and we're like, okay, we know that this is going to be a little bit tougher game just because of how strong Boss has been. We don't hit anything that we can play on turn 3. We do have 0 Lizard, which seems like a pretty solid play to make, and that's what we do. 0 into Camertage, a Lizard on top of our Angela. That's going to be super strong. If we fill up that Angela lane, we are going to be sitting really pretty here. So 0 comes out, hitting our Lizard, buffing our Angela, and we feel pretty good about moving forward. We see Cerebro, and we know it could be a little bit tough, but now we pick up Red Skull, right? And we start planning ahead here. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to slam our Moon Girl, copy up, buff up our Angela, and we see what they've got going on here. They were able to Cerebro into Mystique. Super, super strong play for them. But it doesn't mean they're going to win this game because we can affect their plays. You see it here. I'm like, oh no. You know what we could do? We could Zabu, but that doesn't help us. We don't have any 4-drops. What about Red Skull? He's going to buff that Cerebro so that the other 3-drops aren't going to be affected because all of a sudden it's just that lane we've got to worry about. We're down again, so we can feel free to play Red Skull and Titania knowing she's staying on our side. We split them up. 12 power into Camertage is going to be huge, and we're going to get that full buff on our Angela by playing into Subterranea. They come through with a Rhino. Again, not buffed up. Not going to win that. Killmonger comes out, but it doesn't matter. Our Titania comes down, and we win on the spread here. We're up 10. They're only up 3. We didn't even get to play Sauron there. So, we feel really, really good. Now, this game, I had no idea what they were playing. I was in the dark. I've got the 0 Lizard option. But again, I've been playing so greedy, I wanted to just hold out, and I'm rewarded by doing so. We pick up Sauron, and he is ready to go. Turn 2, we don't want to play anything, but we're still considering it. We've got Zero, we've got Lizard that we could go Ebony Maw, but we're thinking maybe we just hold it. Ultimately, we do decide to get Zero and Ebony Maw down because we're thinking, hey, maybe we should hold off on Sauron until turn 5 and then play, we can play Khazar on 4. We can still reach the sandbar, which, with it being the hot location right now, is huge. We pick up Bishop on 3, which couldn't have been a better draw. Bishop's going to be great in getting us some power. We see Lady Sif come through, discard, that helicarrier, and we're like, okay, we have no idea what they're playing. We're now happy that we got Ebony Maw there. It's time to get Khazar down, buff up that Zero, buff up that Ebony Maw, and see what we can do here. We also picked up Typhoid Mary, which is huge because she can reach the Crimson Cosmos, and her ability is going to be taken away thanks to Sauron. So we've got Sauron. We picked up Zabu as well, which, is literally the perfect draw for us because we could play both of them. Zabu's effect will not be hit, but ultimately we decided to hold off. And the reason we do that is because we don't want to fill up that lane, letting them know exactly what they need in order to win that location. So instead, we hold off. We've got Lizard for the sandbar. Captain Marvel will not beat our Lizard. Typhoid Mary adds 10 to the Crimson Cosmos, making it really tough for them to win that location and another one. We feel really good about where we're at. We added 17 power on turn 6, partially thanks to the Wakandan Embassy, but even without it, we would have been adding 15. Yes, their Captain Marvel would have been able to swoop over and take that location, but we could have played it a little bit differently. Ultimately, they ended up playing Typhoid Mary, which hurt their Captain Marvel anyway, and we get another huge dub. We hit Sauron that time, so it feels really, really good. Next up, we're going up against a bounce deck. We've got Sauron in our hand with Ebony Maw, with Lizard. We can even get Zabu down on 3, and we're feeling really good about what we got going on here. They play Boss, and again, I'm like, great, it's Boss. I don't like going against Boss because he typically means they have a bunch of strong cards that just got even stronger thanks to Boss's on reveal. We decide to go with Angela because we love getting Angela down early. They play their own, which is actually a little bit better than ours thanks to Boss. Turn 3 comes around and we see the sandbar and we're like, okay, that's fine. Now, with the mirror dimension potentially turning into another sandbar, we play Zabu into that middle lane. They bring out Iceman, hits our Sauron. Honestly, that's fine because we were going to play him on 4 anyway. Our hand is ready for him to come down. So, turn 4 comes around. They filled up that Angela lane. I'm like, what are they doing? But ultimately, I'm not too worried about it because we've got our own plan. If it's full, great. If it's not, then, we can go for these other locations here. So we got Sauron. We snap him down. We see Falcon. We're like, okay, we know for sure it's a bounce deck now. Demon comes out on Sandbar. We don't care, right? We've got Moon Girl. She can copy up, our Ebony Maw, our Lizard. We are primed for a huge turn 6 here. So we are going to slam Moon Girl first, and we're going to get rid of Zero. The reason we're going to get rid of Zero here is we want to make sure... Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I played it. The reason we want to get rid of Zero is so that we can fill our hand and draw a card. Now, Black Widow is going to stop us from drawing that card anyway, but Moon Girl is still going to double up our hand and give us an extra Ebony Maw, an extra Lizard, and another Bishop. So, Moon Girl comes down, copies those cards. All of a sudden, we are set for a huge turn 6 again. We've got 10, we've got 14, Darkhawk comes out. Unfortunately, our Ebony Maw hit the Darkhawk lane, meaning we're not going to get a ton of value out of that. But a Bishop comes down as well, and that's pretty good for us. The only spot left they can play is the Sandbar. We know we can take Grand Central with, just an Ebony Maw, even just a Lizard, but we decided to go with Ebony Maw and play our 2 Lizards into the Sandbar. They've got another Demon ready to go, but it is not going to be enough. Ebony Maw comes down buffing Bishop, Lizard buffs Angela and Bishop, and the second one does the same thing, giving us another huge win there. This deck just feels really, really good. It feels like you've got answers. And now we get to go against a Sera control deck, right? Super, super strong deck. We see the throne room. We know that's huge. I don't know it's Sera control at this point, so I'm holding, right? Turn 2, we're passing. We've got Sauron ready. Do we play him on turn 3? We're thinking about it, but because we've got Khazar as well, we're not sure if we should. Ultimately, seeing that the only one drop we've got in our hand is 0, we're like, okay, Slam Sauron. We're not going to end up playing Khazar. We've got Typhoid Mary. The sandbar is there. Typically, if they're playing a Sentinel or something like that, they probably don't have a card that can reach the sandbar, which is huge for us because we definitely can, thanks to Sauron. So you can see we've got cards ready. Now we're trying to decide, do we Moon Girl here to get an extra couple cards, or do we just slam something? Ultimately, Typhoid Mary just seems like the best play. They can't take her out because Shang-Chi can't get rid of her, so we feel good about that play. Now it's turn 5, and what I'm thinking here is I want them to have priority. I do not want to be ahead in case they have Shang-Chi or something like that. Shang-Chi can't hit the sandbar, but he could hit the throne room. So we're kind of holding our cards and gonna let him play. We could play Lizard, but that Lizard doubles up to 10, and ultimately that's not what we want to do. So instead we go with just the Bishop. There's the Sera. Now we know it's the Sera control deck, and they do have priority, which is huge. That means that we can come back over the top and finish this game off. 0, Red Skull should be plenty. Red Skull is gonna have more power than anything that they can play there. So we should win the throne room easily. We're just waiting for them to make their play, knowing that we are in a really, really good spot. 3 power Sauron, 3 power Bishop, 3 power 0, 12 power Red Skull. Lizard comes out, not gonna be enough. Enchantress, that's as much power as they can put down, but still not even close to being enough here. As 0 comes out, and then Red Skull to flip that location and get us another victory. It feels good. This deck just feels like it's flexible. You've got options. You can play the Sauron route. You can play kind of to get as many 1-drops out. And here we've got Patriot again. Patriots are everywhere. We hit Sauron early. We've got Ebony Maw and Lizard already in hand. The sandbar shows up and we're like, this is awesome. That's like perfect for us. You can see I'm pointing to it. We've got Sauron. We see Shocker. We're like, okay, it's another Patriot deck. We could have played Sauron here on 3, but I wanted to get Green Goblin down and stuff up their side of the board since it looks like they're playing Patriot. That's kind of what I'm pointing at here. I'm like, let's get Green Goblin down, and our hand is primed for Sauron next turn. You can see we've got Red Skull, we got Typhoid, we've got Lizard, we got Ebony Maw. We have literally everything we need on the next turn to slam Sauron. So we send the Green Goblin over there, giving us a location that we feel like we're going to win. We've got Zabu ready. We're thinking about it, but it's already turn 4. It's time to get Sauron down. It's either in camp or the Savage Land, and ultimately we decided to go into camp, get another buff here on our Angela, and slide into turn 5 ready to go. Now we've got options, right? We could go Red Skull, we could go Typhoid, Ebony Maw. We're thinking it. We're like, maybe we go Typhoid, Ebony Maw, but then we're like, I don't know, let's hold off. Let's just play as much power as we can into the sandbar right now, knowing that we can still get there in the next turn. So we hold out, we play Red Skull, we can go Ebony Maw, Typhoid 0 on turn 6, which is a super, super strong turn as well. We're adding 20 power. We hit Bishop, not something that we're looking to play. Blue Marvel came down, so now we're wondering, well, if it's Onslaught, what wins that location? And I'm counting up in my head right now. Do we need 10 here? Do we need 7 here? If it's Onslaught, he's going to add 3 more to the sandbar, which means Ebony Maw would be enough, but we would need more in Camp Lee. So we decide to pull that back a little bit. We're still thinking. We're like, maybe we should go for the Savage Land. They don't have a ton of power there. So ultimately, we decide to slam Typhoid Mary and 0 into the Savage Land and drop, as you can see here, our Ebony Maw into the camp. And we're going to win that location by 1. Ebony Maw is going to come through, give us the camp, and we're going to get another victory against another Patriot deck. Yes, they didn't hit their Patriot, but they put out a decent amount of power there. So overall, I feel like this deck has some real potential to go crazy in this meta. You can see we're taking down Patriots, we're taking down Darkhawks, we're taking down Sera controls. The one deck where I think we would probably struggle a bit would be, it's like a Sandman deck. Maybe Galactus would be a little bit tough as well. depending on how we played our cards, but those are the only two that I see a little bit of trouble with. Otherwise, this deck feels like you've got the advantage going into pretty much every game. So I think y'all should give it a shot. It feels really, really strong. If you've hung out till now, I really appreciate you watching the video. Go ahead and hit that subscribe and like button and try this deck out on ladder. Let me know how you do. But until next time, have some fun.